Greetings, this is Father Michael with our word of the week, and the word this week is restoration. We're here on the grounds of St. Dominic. We've got a little blustery wind, we've got a little bit of sunlight, and we're going to head to the top of the church to see the restoration that's being done on our tower. This will be the beginning of the great tower series of St. Dominic for our word of the week. Over the next series of weeks, we're going to be giving unique insight from the top, from indeed the majestic perspective we have from on high, looking at the different reconstruction that was done, marveling at the beauty of the church edifice itself, and perhaps a few candid shots for a little levity in all things. So join me now as for the next few weeks we discover the secrets of the tower. Follow me on up as we head to the heights to see the restoration of beauty. Here we are, 60 seconds, 1 minute from bottom to top. I like to think of myself as thinking this is the stairway to heaven, at least the automated version. And as we head to the top, we are excited to see, looking down, if you will, from bird's eye, or shall we call it the divine perspective, on the beauty that the Church of St. Dominic's has to offer us. So come up with me that we might see and reveal the mysteries and the beauty of our church. So here we are overlooking our beautiful city from the vantage point of St. Dominic's Tower. We're going to go in and see all of the wonderful ways in which our tower is now secure. Of course, in 1989, the Loma Prieta earthquake caused distress to the lantern here at the tower, caused it to fall down into the street, and now we are, through the miracle of modern engineering, able to re-seismically and in other ways secure this area for future generations. So come and join with me as we see what indeed our restoration has achieved. All right, we're here in the heart of our tower, which certainly had the lantern that fell apart, and what we found is, when we came to inspect, that all these columns here and all the structure that had united the columns were completely in need of repair. The rust, the weathering, we know we have the wonderful Pacific Ocean right here, but it brings that salty water, which does what? It corrodes and it turns all things, as shall we say, into dust. Well, the columns themselves were worthy of being saved, but indeed we put all new kind of structural fitting here, able to brace it in every way, and now we're at the point of having to paint everything to make it look in union with the church. We have, for those who know, you know, wonderful ways in which we have that. Look at that, come look. Look at that great fillet welding right there. Can you appreciate that? Only if you're in construction, I believe. and I'm here with our Chief Superintendent, James Joseph.
Yes.
And so tell us a little bit about what we're seeing here.
So what we're seeing here is originally in 1989, as you know, you had the earthquake. So therefore, a structural company came in and retrofitted everything. They put in tube steel, gussets, erection bolts, and a smaller catwalk, not a complete catwalk, but every time you go up the stairs to a level, there's a handrail so that it's safe. So what we did was we took all the structural steel out, all the tubes. These are the tube steel, the gussets, the erection bolts, all of it. First we came in, we stacked up scaffolds all the way up to the top. We started at the top, removing the structural steel tubes and the erection bolts and the fillet welds and the gussets. And once we got down to the first level, which I'm going to call catwalk number 2, we actually had the scaffold company come in and remove the scaffold. Then we did the vertical. If you look above here, you'll see the new vertical tube steel that they installed with new gussets, new erection bolts, and like Father Michael said, that's a 5/16 fillet weld, probably one of the best fillet welds I've ever seen. Romac Ironworks did all the work, and they did just an amazing job. Very, very proud of the work that they did. So once they completed the first catwalk, they put in all the vertical tube steel, they put in all the skeleton structural system, and then they brought in hot dip galvanized grates, which are about, I'd say 4 by 5 feet in length. They dropped them into the frame and then screwed them down with hold-down clips. The actual the hot dip galvanized will not be painted, it's going to remain because it's hot dip galvanized, and that's how you keep it from rusting. Then after they did that, they came down further with the rest of the tubes in between the columns, got to this first catwalk. This is catwalk number 1. Then our scaffolding company came in, removed the scaffold, and then they did the same thing. They built out all the framing here, all the grates. Once that was complete, they removed the last section of the scaffold, and then they did all the bottom section. These are a little bit off. These particular ones that are here are not actually 45. In the beginning, they used to come out of the concrete foundation. This was like a giant curb. It must be 4 or 5 feet in length and in depth. But the tubes went all the way down to where they reached this column, right? But we actually cut those out. The structural engineer redesigned it so that these weren't going through the concrete because he was concerned about corrosion. So instead of having them go through the concrete or applying them to an L-iron, which is on the concrete where we know for sure it's going to probably deteriorate, he decided to put in these plates, which you see here, which is like an inch plate. And then he put in the gusset and then the tube steel and tied it all into the columns. And that's kind of how we got to the bottom. Once we got to the bottom, our city inspector came out. He inspected everything. That actually happened today, and he gave us a pass. So we're finally complete. Now, the structural engineer is going to provide us with a final affidavit. The Consolidated Engineering Labs did all of your special inspections. So you can't just sit here and construct something without the proper inspections. So we hired a special inspection firm to come in and do all the inspections. They inspected everything. You can see their markups right here, letting you know this has been inspected by Consolidated. Once they completed all their necessary inspections, they provided us with a final affidavit. We took the final affidavit and we turned it into the city so they know that it was all inspected. They're not just going to go by our word. So then they got to come out, visually inspect it today. They passed us there. Then after that, we sent that final affidavit from Consolidated Engineering Labs over to the structural engineer, which is Rutherford Checkney, and that gentleman provided us with his final report, which we did the walkthrough a couple days ago, and he gave us a go too. So we're 100% complete, and that brings us to our painters. I don't know if you can hear them through the wind, but they're up there working away, putting in protection, getting ready to paint all these elements.
Very good. Well, thanks for all your work. Now we've got to pay for it all.
Yes.
I have to say, of all the details you gave, what stood out to me was the hot dip. Who doesn't like a hot dip? But when it keeps it from rusting, you know you're there. Now, just below us is how you access the roof from the church in times past. And there was an old rickety ladder, and I know I had to climb that rickety ladder one day when it was raining in every way and pushing up through an old piece of plywood, which now we are giving a more secure kind of hatching, so that our church will be preserved from rain, from weathering. In every case now we have the catwalk and the infrastructure in order to do regular maintenance and not just leave it for the next pastor who 30 years from now will have to re-weather everything again. We're going to be able to preserve this church in so many ways. Thank you for those who are able to give. If you have yet to give to our great tower reconstruction project, I invite you to make a gift, your gift. Make sure that God's beauty in this sacred place will endure for generations to come. God bless you all.